demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am so excited to finally share with you the fabulous Forever Forest bundle from the Stampin' Up! September December mini catalog. Now, I have to say, I am sorry I waited so long to play with this bundle. It is fantastic. So many amazing possibilities with this Stamp and Die bundle. And I have to say, I'm thrilled because it is actually carrying over. So it is going to be available after the life of the catalog. However, the bundle discount pricing will not. So if this is something that catches your eye, or maybe you kind of had your eye on it and haven't quite gotten to it like I had, you may want to pick it up before the catalog retires on January 3rd, because after that, it will not be available as a discounted bundle. Okay. So you'll still be able to get your separate stamp set and dies, but not at the 10% bundle discount. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 cards today. I have a neat fun fold. It's a great way to showcase this stamp set, as well as a couple other ideas to share with you. And we're going to get to it. So if you are here watching, if you are joining me, give me a hello in the comments so that I know that you are here and I can acknowledge that you are joining us. Hi, Cindy from North Dakota. I bet it's chilly there. It is frigid here today. Well, not frigid. Actually, it's not. It's just like, it's not that bad, but it feels cold because it's damp. Hi, Kathy. Oh, thank you for sharing, Cindy. I so appreciate it. Hi, Colleen. How are things in PEI? I hope it is not too chilly out there. I don't know if you got all the snow that Montreal and Ottawa got earlier this weekend. But welcome. I'm glad you are here. And we are going to get to some stamping. So I am going to just switch out my view here. Oh, there's Colette from Calgary, plus 15. Oh, the Chinook must be blowing out there. Hi, Rosemary. Welcome. Hi, Renee from Western New York. Hi, Chris. Welcome. All right, so let's swap our layout here. We'll have a look at this fabulous bundle. Oh, lovely, Linda. Well, enjoy your visit with your daughter and granddaughter. That's what replays are for, right? You can always come back and watch it later. All right, so here is the stamp set. So it's a rare set that does not include both images and sentiment. So this one is just an image set, but what beautiful images they are. And these are actually quite a bit larger than is showing on the case. I will show you well, I can show you the inside. I don't have all the stamps in here because we're going to use them today, but it is a fantastic set with lots of different tree images. And then we have an awesome die set. So open dies that cut out to the stamped images, but then lots and lots of other tree and this great mountain or hill die that we're going to use today as well. So lots and lots of possibilities. I love how many different sizes of trees there are in this set. Makes for lots of, you can get great perspective and depth on things. So it's lovely. Okay, Cindy, your grandson's still wearing shorts. You must be getting the same warm winds that Calgary is getting in North Dakota. 36 in southwestern Minnesota. Wow, it's warmer than I expected in the middle US for this time of year. All right, hi, Jean from Maryland. Welcome. Yeah, sometimes YouTube is a little friendlier than Facebook, which is why I'm happy that I have the option to stream to both now. It makes it a little bit easier for people to choose. So the first card that we are going to make today is this one. So I'm still playing with that fabulous Winter Meadow Designer Series paper that I was showcasing last week. That's another carryover item, which makes me very happy because there are so many wonderful things that you can do with it. So I wanted to show you how beautifully this particular bundle pairs with that DSP. So let's get to it. I'm gonna pull out my DSP to start. So this is a piece, this is that gorgeous, it's a 12 by 12 sheet that has that beautiful foliage, but on the back it has this beautiful misty moonlight sort of wash. It looks like a frosty pattern. So this piece is cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I have to decide, yeah, I think I want to see that texture. I just think it's so pretty. And we're gonna do a little bit of stamping with this large set of 5 trees. And I'm going to do tone on tone. So I'm going to be using my Misty Moonlight ink pad to stamp. So we'll ink these guys up, and I'm going to stamp them, I don't know, sort of across the middle, maybe a little bit below the middle here, just like that. Okay, I'm not going to worry about continuing across because that part is going to be covered. So we'll set that aside for a minute, and I'm going to bring in my blending brush and some more die cut pieces. Just pull these out. There's my little bitty trees. We'll deal with those in a minute. But to start, I have this this is a portion of that sort of mountain die cut. So the way that I did this is I first cut two circles, one out of the DSP. So this is that sort of forest scene, the trees. And then I cut another same size circle out of white cardstock. Okay. So once I had my circle cut, then I took my mountain die, this one here, and just cut across to give me a partial. And that way they're going to layer, and the decaling on the die cut is going to match up. So it's nice and tidy like that. Okay, so before we glue that down, we're going to add just a little bit of ink, sort of to kind of frost our mountaintops here. So I'm just taking my blending brush and adding just a little bit of Misty Moonlight, sort of around the bottom edge and the top of my mountains. And that's just going to make that pop a little bit. Okay, and what I also feel like it does is it kind of makes it match what is going on in the DSP here. You kind of looks like it's part of the image. So we're going to go ahead and glue those. We're going to layer them. I'm going to set this out of the way for a minute so I don't have a disaster. So we'll grab a little bit of liquid glue here. I'm just going to put a smidge of it on the back of my partial circle here, and I'm just going to line up my decaling and just get that nice and flush. Oops, that shifted on me, of course, as I set it down. There we go. Okay, then that is going to get glued onto my white circle, just like that. So we'll add a little bit more glue. Oh, thank you, Jean. That is so sweet. I love it when I can teach people new things. I'm a teacher, right? That's what I do. That's my day job. And so knowing that I can teach, because today, I tell you, my kids sure did not feel like I was teaching them anything. They were so zoned out. Actually, two kids fall asleep in class today. It was one of those days where you kind of wonder if anybody's even out there paying attention. All right, so now I'm going to bring in my guillotine trimmer and I'm going to chop off, I don't know, maybe half an inch-ish. How big is this? This circle is cut, what size is this? This is 3.5 inches. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it down to 3 or so. Okay, and then that is going to adhere along the left edge of my DSP like that. Okay, so we'll get that out of the way. Hey Michelle, how you doing? How are things in Virginia? All right, so let's get this glued on. And then we're going to go ahead and layer that onto a piece of basic white cardstock. So this is just 1/8 of an inch larger than my DSP. So it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit of this so you could fall asleep. Well, I'd like to think what I was teaching them in class today was interesting too, but apparently they disagreed. We were talking about the importance of having a system for making important decisions in our lives, because we do have to make them occasionally, and they didn't think it really mattered. So there we go. Anyway, all right, let's glue this down to our card base. So that is our mat. That's going to get glued on there. This is 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we will go ahead and fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to add a little bit more glue to the back of this. And we're going to pop it onto the front of our card here. I gotta tell you, I'm getting a wicked headache. Just before I went live, I bent over to pick something up off the floor and I smacked my head off, like my forehead, right off the edge of the counter here. And I tell you, I saw stars for a minute. So if I'm not making a lot of sense, I have a reason. Yeah, I knocked myself silly. All right, so I have these little trees, I should mention. These are cut from the same DSP. So the cool thing about this DSP pattern is that there are so many variations in colors. So you can see I've got a really dark one, a medium, and a light. So I just kind of had some little scrap offcuts and I just kind of threw my dies on there and ran them through. And it's amazing the variation you get in color when you do that. So I'm going to glue these little guys onto my wintry scene here. And stick them down. You do not need a lot of glue. I'm just kind of putting little bitty dabs. You could certainly put adhesive sheets on the back of these, but they're not too fussy to glue down. And like I said, you don't need a lot. They're very light. Hi, Carol from Calgary. I'm glad you caught me live. Louise, occupational concussion, highly possible. The things I do for you, girl. I'm taking it for the team. I'm going live. I didn't want to miss, didn't want to cancel, but let me tell you, I did smack my head pretty good. All right, so there we go. We're almost done, really. We just have to add our sentiment. So this die is from the Autumn Leaves dies, and these ones are also carrying over. I'm full of carryover products tonight. So we're going to stamp our Winter Wishes sentiment, which is from the Magical Meadow stamp set. Sadly, not one that is carrying over. Wish it was. So we're going to stamp that also in our Misty Moonlight. And then we're going to add a little bit of ribbon to the back of this. So this is my little trick. I've had a number of people comment that they can never make this little ribbon trick work. So I'm going to try it again to show you. So I'm going to flip my my label over this way, okay, keeping in mind that this is going to be my top corner. So I'm just going to kind of rotate it a little bit, and I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to start at a diagonal. So I'm making, if you think about it, I'm making a backward Z, or you can think about it as an N shape, whatever works for you. All right, so when I pick this up, you're going to see I've got my ribbon on there. I'm going to trim this off. So I'd like to trim the kind of the same angle. Okay, can you see that? And then we're going to add a couple of dimensionals to the back of this. Uh-oh, that one's empty. There we go. So we'll add a couple of these. And the nice thing about the dimensionals is it kind of locks that ribbon in place too, so it's not going anywhere. So we'll get rid of those backings. And then this is going to pop on the front just about here. All right, I've got a little scrap of ribbon there. And then our last little touch, I have 3 itty bitty, oh no, I have 6. Well, we're not going to use 6. We're only going to use 3 itty bitty silver pearls here. So we'll just kind of go 1 and 2 and 3. And there we go. Done and done. All right, so now on the inside of my sample here, I stamped the trees. Actually, let's do that because they're right here and I have some white cardstock, so let's do it. We're going to finish our inside too today. So I'm going to bring back my Misty Moonlight and ink my trees. So I'm going to do some kind of along that, in that right corner, and then I'm just going to do a couple in the left. And then I really like this look to kind of ground the trees. So I'm just going to take that blending brush again and kind of come in and just add a little hint of that Misty Moonlight ink along the bottom. And it just helps to ground those trees and kind of give them a little bit of a landscape or a horizon idea. Okay, so there we go. All right, let's glue this guy inside. And we have one card done. How easy was that? Is this my, yep, this is the one we made today. So we'll pop this in just like that. Yes, Louise, you are correct. The DSP, the Designer Series paper, the Winter Meadow Designer Series paper is carrying over, which makes my heart very happy. All right, there we go. Done and done. Number 1 is in the books. Let me set these aside and we're going to work on number 2. So number 2 is this one. So this was actually inspired by a card I saw posted by Brenda Nelson, who is one of our Canadian members of the artisan design team, or was last year. I'm not sure. I think she's done now. But she does absolutely fantastic work. I've never seen her make a card that I don't like. And so this is a layout that she had done. I totally changed the color scheme, changed a lot of things, but I just loved this sort of semicircle layout behind the tree. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to do this card. Again, we're going to be playing with our blending brushes again because, well, I have a hard time getting through a live without them. So I'm going to start. Do you see the difference? Look at the difference in color. I actually started with a soft seafoam card base. All right, so we're starting with that. So this is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. I'm going to fold it in half. And then we're going to do a bit of stamping and some blending. So I'm going to start with this sort of spatter or polka dot or snowy sky image. And again, I'm going to do tone on tone. So I've got my soft seafoam ink and my dots. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start in that top corner and I'm going to work my way down. And don't have to be super, super careful or precise because let's face it, they're random dots. So I'm not really worried about, you know, making it super pretty. Half of this is going to get covered anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and stamp those. Okay, I'm not worrying about this because that's going to get covered by my semicircle. All right, so then I'm going to come in with my blending brush, same shade of ink. And we're just going to come around the edges with soft seafoam. I'm going to come in a little bit on the corners just to darken that down a little bit. So we'll keep working our way around. And I just love the effect that the shading has. It just, I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody who has an arts degree can explain why this is so satisfying. I do not have an arts degree. Well, I have a music degree, but believe me, you do not want to see me draw or paint, which is why I like stamps. Makes me feel like an artist. All right, so I've got my soft seafoam. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit of Granny Apple Green. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm not going to come onto the card quite as far this time. So I'm just really going to stay around the edges, just to darken down the edges a bit. There we go. There we go. So quick and easy to turn a plain old piece of soft seafoam cardstock into a textured background. All right, now we have a semicircle again. So this was a full deckled circle. This is a 5.5 inch set circle. And I cut it actually from the Irresistible Blooms DSP pack, which is still available as an online exclusive. I have a ton of it, so I thought, why not use it up? And you're going to notice this is super light. So again, we're going to darken this down a little bit. I'm going to come back with my soft seafoam. And I'm going to get rid of the granny apple that was on there. And I'm just going to lightly brush the embossed DSP. I should mention I embossed this with the Time Worn Type embossing folder, which is one I love it. I don't know. I've been so busy with all the new folders that so I thought it was time to pull it out and show it a little bit of love. Here we go. And I love the way adding that little bit of ink just brings out the texture in the DSP. Isn't that pretty? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and glue that right along. I'm going to actually open this up. I'm going to glue that along the right edge of my card front here. Okay, so just a little bit of glue. And we're going to pop this on. Get that lined up right flush with the edge. Okay. All right. So we're going to set that aside for a few minutes. And I'm going to show you how I stamp the trees. And I've already got them stamped and die cut. I'll show you what they look like. All right. So I got this cool ombre effect. I'm going to show you the colors I used and how I did it. So here is that gorgeous, like that is a big stamp. Here's my hand, right? It's a big stamp with the 3 trees. And we are going to start with a little bit of lemon lime twist. So I'm going to use my daubers again. I like to ink stamps with daubers. You probably saw me doing a lot of that last week. So I'm going to sort of ink the tops of the trees with the lemon lime twist. And then I'm going to come in with a bit of Granny Apple Green. So we're going to kind of come across the middle of the trees with the Granny Apple. You just want to make sure you overlap the lighter color so that you don't have a gap where there's no ink. So we're just going to kind of come across here. And then again, with shaded spruce. And by daubering on the shaded spruce, you get a really nice soft look. If I stamp these full strength, by inking the stamp with the ink pad, you would find that the shaded spruce is quite dark, which doesn't quite work for this color palette. So I just want to make sure I get my trunks as well. All right, and then I have a little scrappy of cardstock here. We'll see what that looks like when we stamp it. No, I don't think I, this is a small piece. Oh, well, that's all right. I'll do it this way. And look how soft and pretty those are. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that ombre look. All right, so of course I die cut them ahead of time and they are ready to go onto the front of our card. But before we glue them on, we're going to add 2 just plain white die cut trees. So these are cut using this large die. All right, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to glue one of them sort of peeking up behind. Now these are quite large, they're tall, so we're actually going to trim them almost in half because we're just going to glue them so we see the top peeking out like that. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of seal to the back of my stamped and die cut trees here and get rid of that little bit of negative. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with this second one. Again, we're going to trim off about half. And again, a little bit of seal. And this one's going to be a bit shorter. So we'll kind of have that one peeking out like that. Okay, now that is ready to pop up on the front of our... Oh, you're waiting on a Stampin' Up! Order. Isn't that the worst when you're like stalking the UPS guy? Yes, I know. I just put my pre-order in today for the new mini. Very excited. Now that I am done all of my Christmas classes, I will have some time to play with all my new goodies. I'm very excited to do that. All right, so there we go. And then my sentiment, I wanted a sentiment that didn't have a label. So I actually pulled out my Charming Sentiments stamp set and coordinating dies. And I did the same kind of ombre effect on the sentiment. So I started by inking the Wishing You and Wonderful in Granny Apple Green with a dauber. And then I did the Everything in Shaded Spruce. And I love that sort of ombre look we got here. So we're going to go ahead and adhere that. Before we do, we're going to add a little bit of Parakeet Party Baker's Twine. Now with all these shades of green going on, I know I didn't use Parakeet Party, but you know what? It still works because this is a monochromatic, sorry about the croaky throat there. This monochromatic green, we can add variations in the shading and it totally works. So tied my little bow here. Wow, my fingers are dry. I just caught that twine. All right, where did I put my sentiment? There it is. So we're going to add just a little glue dot there to the bottom corner of the E, just like that. And then I'm just going to press that onto my bow and pick that up. And then we're going to add a dimensional here, sort of at the on the end where it's going to hang off where the trees are. And then I'm going to put a little bit of seal where it's going to overlap. And then we're going to stick that on our card. I like to kind of push it on until I feel it hit the dimensional there. And straight is always good. So we're going to aim for straight. There we go. And then we'll trim our tails a little bit more because those are still a little on the long side. There we go. And that's that. How easy was that card? So you don't need a whole lot of layers. I know, me, talk about talk about a hypocrite, but here we go. You don't need a ton of layers to make a beautiful card. All right, so on the inside, again, I did a similar effect that I did on the first card, just with some of the soft seafoam. Okay, so that is number 2. Now, number 3 is a fun fold because I wanted to come up with a fun fold that would showcase the fabulous stamps and dies in this set. And so I thought, why not make a bridge fold? So this one, again, folds flat for mailing, but it also has this fun pop out look and it gives you some great dimension like you're looking at a forest. All right. Oh, Jill, you have to address all your Christmas cards. I actually just mailed over 80 team Christmas cards this weekend, and now I'm working on customer ones. So, yep, I feel your pain. Lots and lots of addressing and sealing and all that fun stuff. All right, now I need to clean this stamp because we are going to use it again. So let's get to it. So to start, I have my Pebbles Path card base. This is 4 1/4 by 8 inches. Okay, so it's 1/2 inch shorter than the width of a sheet of cardstock. All right, so you're cutting a 1/2 inch off. And then I've scored at 1 1/4 and 2 1/2 in from each end. So I went 1 1/4, 2 1/2, flipped 1 1/4, 2 1/2. I prefer doing it that way than I do like flipping out the arm and doing the measurements all the way across. I just find that easier to remember. Okay, so 1 1/2, 2 1/2. Okay, so we're going to start at that 2 1/2 inch line, and I'm going to fold that inwards. Just like that. Okay, then my 1 1/4 inch score line, I'm going to fold it back. So I get that sort of Z look. I'm going to flip it around, do the same thing on the other side. So start at the 2 1/2 inch line and then fold back along the 1 1/4. Okay, so that's what we end up with from the front, but from the back, from the front, it looks like this. Okay, and that's going to give us our foundation for our card. Now we are going to add a little bit of DSP, and for this one I reached way back to a pack from the annual catalog. Can't tell you the last time I used DSP from the annual catalog because I've been so busy with the mini. So this is the Fresh as a Daisy DSP pack. It has this fabulous Pebbled Path wash in it. So I have 2 pieces that are cut to 1 1/8 by 4 1/8. So those are going to go on my outer panels, and then this guy is in the middle, and it's cut to 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. So it's going to nestle right in the middle there. Now, before we glue these on, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So this is where I need this stamp and my Pebbled Path ink. So I'm going to stamp this a little bit towards the top, just across that larger panel there. Okay, so that's kind of my back drop for my card. So now we're going to go ahead and glue all of these pieces on, just with a little bit of liquid glue. I tend to like to do the center one first and then do the 2 side ones. So we're just going to center that on that recessed middle panel there. And then what I like to do is add a little glue, fold this piece in, and then I can line up the edges of my DSP so that I have nice flush edges all the way across. So there's one. We'll flip that around. A little bit more glue. Fold that in. We'll add this guy. There we go. All right, so we have our backdrop set. Okay. All right, next I have a die cut mountain range here. So this started out as a 2 1/2 by 5 1/2 inch piece of Pebbled Path. And then I ran it through with my mountain range die. And the cool thing, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but do you see the texture that this die adds? It embosses like snowy mountain caps or mountain peaks on the die cut, which is kind of cool. So what I love is that this bottom part of the die is not a blade, it's just open. So you can make this as wide or as narrow as you like, depending on the width of the piece that you start with. Okay, so this is eventually going to glue onto the front of our card. This is the bridge, part of the bridge fold, but we're going to do a little bit to it first. So I have another mountain range. This time I've cut it from, this is more of that fabulous Winter Meadow DSP. So this started out as a narrower piece. This one was actually 1 3/4, I believe, by 5 1/2. All right, now this is going to get glued offset in behind my my first mountain range. So I'm going to cut it or probably glue it. No, I like it this way. I like this part's going to get hidden, but that's okay. I just kind of want to see those 2 little peaks in behind. So I'm going to again add, this time I think I'll do a little bit of liquid glue to my mountain peaks here, and we're going to offset them. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot, wouldn't you know? Not so smart, Lena. We need to put our glue on this part. And we're going to stick that down on there like that. No, this way. I'll get it right. 3rd time's the charm, right? I'm going to blame the knock in the head that I had before I started. All right, so I'm going to trim off this excess because I don't want this little bit hanging off. That's going to interfere with our card fitting in the envelope. Okay, so that's going to go on like that. We're not quite ready to glue this on just yet. I have yet another layer. So here is a set of those 5 trees that we stamped earlier. And this time I've stamped them in gray granite because the colors in this DSP are both pebbled path and gray granite. And those 2 grays just work so beautifully together. Now, this is going to get glued just so that I kind of have some trees peeking over the mountain range like this. So again, I'm going to add, I'll do a little bit of seal this time. And we're just going to pop those sort of peeking out over the mountains like that. Okay, now that is going to be ready to glue like that. But before we do, again, we have more depth to add. So I have another set of the 4 trees. This is me who just on the last card said you don't need a lot of layers, right? I have 1 or 2 layers on this card. All right, so here we go. This is the same trees, but this time stamped in pebbled path. Now, you'll notice that these are too wide to fit. So I mentioned this was 2 7/8 of an inch. So I'm going to bring in my little guillotine here, and we're going to do a little choppy. We're going to trim a little bit off there. And then now that I have a straight edge, I'm going to line that up at 2 7/8. So then that will fit in there like a charm. Okay. So I'm going to glue those guys inside. A little bit of glue. And we'll pop this in. Yeah, Louise, I think it's so funny that your order arrived today that has this bundle in it. That's very good timing. See, there was a reason I waited until now to play with this die set. All right, where is my card base? Oh, it's right in front of me. Wowza. All right, so we are going to glue this down. Now, this is the trick, or the only part that you have to be careful of when you are playing or making a bridge fold card. Okay, so when I squish one of these sides flat and this one folded, that width is 5.5 inches. Okay, so you're going to see that that is going to match up like that. Okay, so when I go to glue this piece on, I am going to, this is what I like to do. I flip it over. I'm going to put my glue where the ends overlap these side panels. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here and then a little bit of glue here. And this is going to make sure that I only put glue where I actually want it. Because if I put glue all over, I'm going to end up gluing my card so it does not pop up. So now I'm gluing that bridge section on. Whoops, don't move. And when I hold it back, I have my bridge fold. Okay, so it's just really important to make sure that you put your glue in the right spots. Okay, all right, now we're going to play with some more die cuts. So let me dump the rest of my bits out here. So this one is that same 3 tree stamp, but I've cut off the leftmost tree. So all I did is I just took my paper snips and just trimmed off that leftmost tree. So I just have 2 trees. So that one is going to go right along that sort of left side. I'm going to put my trunks flush with the bottom, and it's going to get popped as soon as I find my dimensionals. Where'd they go? Yoo-hoo! Where'd you go? All right, we're going to, oh, there they are. They were hiding under my little mini guillotine here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add some dimensionals to the back of our trees here. And that is going to get glued. I need one more right at the top. And we're going to stick this guy on. Get our glue out of the way. So that is going to go on. And again, I just want to make sure my trunks are flush with the bottom so they're not floating. And my trees are nice and straight. Okay. All right. Then I have a nice tall, this is one of the sort of detailed dies. So that is going to get glued here. But before we do, we're actually going to stamp and adhere our sentiment. Oh, and before we do that, we need to add our other trees. Almost forgot. So let's stick these guys on. So we're going to have another tall one along this side. So again, a little bit of glue here right along the trunk will do it. So we'll pop this one on there. Give that a second to stick. And then another shorter tree. So we're going to pop that one over here, just kind of beside it. And we just want to take care that that is going to overlap our flap. And then I have this single tree that is going to go on here. And again, we're going to pop that up. Oh, thank you, Cindy. I so appreciate your kind comments. I would love to hear them from my students at school once in a while. It's nice to come home and hear you girls tell me that I'm still a good teacher. Some days I wonder. All right, so now I have a label. This is from the Christmas Classics dies, soon to be retiring Christmas Classics dies. I am going to miss those dies. I love them. A lot of long label shapes, and I will miss this particular one. So this happy birthday is from Artistically Inked from the annual catalog. So I'm just going to stamp it in Pebbled Path ink. I love the simplicity of the font in this sentiment. And we're going to go ahead now. Where is my, there it is. So we're going to go ahead and glue this tree onto our sentiment. Well, you know what? Let's take our sentiment on first. That's probably easier. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals in the middle here, sort of 1, 2, and then a little bit of seal on either end because they're going to, it's going to overlap the popped trees. So again, we're going to stick this down, or squish this down rather, and center that just like that. And then this big tall die cut is going to overlap just like that. So again, I'm going to bring in a little bit of liquid glue. And we're going to run that just like that. Hold that for a sec to make sure it sets up. Thank you, Rosemary. I love this card. I like doing, you notice everything's monochromatic today. So monochromatic blue, monochromatic green, and monochromatic gray. All right, so that is essentially it. Our last little touch here is some of our polished in colored dots. So again, I'm using the Pebbled Path. So we're going to just add a few of these here. Think of them as, I don't know, stars shimmering. And then on the back, we're actually going to do this as well. I have a, again, 2 7/8 by 4 1/8 piece of basic white cardstock. And I'm going to come back with that 4 or 5 tree stamp. We're not going to stamp the whole thing because there's not a lot of real estate here for writing a greeting. So we're just going to kind of do 2 trees just along the edge there, just to add a little something, something. Excuse me. Still rather phlegmy from that cold I've had. And we're going to pop this onto the back. Now, if you wanted to, you certainly could add some more DSP to the back to decorate it. You could do some more stamping. You could add some more die cut images if you wanted to really, you know, zhuzh up the back. But there you go. There is your finished fun fold. All right, that is our 3 projects for today. But before I let you go, I'm going to show you a few more ideas with this bundle. So here is one, again, using that same Winter Meadow Designer Series paper. So I cut a deckled rectangle with that stag image. And I love the way these trees work with the sort of watercolor trees in the DSP. So stamped a little bit in the background and then added the die cut trees. So just a really simple Christmas card. Okay. And then this one, I went a little crazy. I was having some fun with watercolor and embossed resist. So this is done on watercolor paper. I first stamped and heat embossed my trees in white. And then I added, I wet my paper first and then added a little bit of fresh freesia re-inker and a little bit of blackberry bliss and a little bit of misty moonlight. And I'm loving that sort of nighttime wintry look. And then once the ink had dried, I actually came in with just my water painter and added some drops, just some large and small water droplets on there and just let them dry. And I love the texture that adds. My background is a piece of the silver foil that I've embossed using the Distress Tile embossing folder. The sentiment is from Labels Aglow. No, Brightest Glow. Labels Aglow is the die. the die that coordinates. This is again the same die that we used on the last card. And then this is just the edge of some bubble bath ribbon. So I didn't want pink, but it just has that little hint of pink and silver. So I just trimmed along the edge and kind of got a distressed sort of look. And I love that. And then of course my last touch, I'm not sure it shows on the camera, but it's a little bit shimmery. So I added some spatters of Wink of Stella. So there you go. Some ideas using the, what's it called? Forever Forest bundle. Yep, I definitely think I got knocked in the head a little hard. Let me switch back to my face, just in case I'm not around next week because I've given myself a concussion. Um, Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed these projects. Thanks for hanging with me while I maybe wasn't making 100% sense. And I will see you hopefully next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.